welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. The sky above Veyra wasn't anything you'd recognize. No softness, no warmth. It was a fathomless azure abyss, swallowing everything below with a relentless, gaping stare. Black clouds churned violently, slashed by jagged streaks of violet plasma that danced like hellfire. The air hung thick and oppressive, crushing the chest, reeking of burning sulfur and molten metal, the stench of death itself. Beneath that sky, Ethan Cole stood motionless amid the wreckage of the beacon. His tattered boots sank into the glassy black soil, cold seeping through the soles, chilling his bones. Around him lay scattered shards of twisted, scorched metal, smoking like the remnants of a dream torn apart. He didn't choose this place. No one would. He'd been the captain of the beacon, an old, creaking freighter that had limped through endless voyages, ferrying food and medicine to distant colonies. A simple job. Until it wasn't. Out in the frigid, lightless void, a pack of space pirates had ambushed them from nowhere. Their ships were sleek, black, silent as ghosts. Their firepower shredded the beacon like a blade through paper. Ethan's voice rasped through the comms, hoarse and urgent. "Jessa, Milo, Tara, get to the escape pods, now!" Jessa, the sharp-minded engineer with nimble hands. Milo, the timid gunner who'd never leave a friend behind. Tara, the steely technician who never gave up. They ran. He stayed. Ethan hurled himself into the cockpit, slamming his fists on the controls, trying to draw the pirates off. A desperate lurch of the ship, a faint hope to buy his crew time. But the NAV system flashed red, screeching like a death knell. An explosion rocked them, the auxiliary engine hit. The screen shattered, sparks scorching his hands. He gritted his teeth, no time to think. The beacon spiraled out of control, plummeting toward Veyra at a terrifying speed. Metal screamed, roared, tearing through space. He clung to the chair, vision blurring in smoke and flame. Then came the impact, violent, earth-shaking, like the universe itself exploding. Darkness followed. When he came to, his head throbbed like it had been split open. Dried blood crusted his forehead, trickling into his eye. He blinked, forcing his vision to clear. Wreckage surrounded him, twisted hulks, jagged edges of the hull stabbed deep into the ground. A flashlight rolled nearby, its faint beam flickering like a dying breath. He reached for it, hands trembling. A pistol lay beside it, barrel cold, empty of rounds. He picked it up anyway, gripping it tight, useless or not. A vow burned in his mind, hard as steel: I'll find them. Even if I have to tear this planet apart. Ethan hauled himself up, legs heavy as lead. He stepped over smoldering metal, smoke curling into the air. "Jessa, Milo, Tara," he called into the comms, voice raw and broken. "Anyone hear me?" Static crackled back, dry and lifeless, like Veyra's mocking laugh. He scanned the horizon, black soil stretched endlessly, glinting under the azure glow. No sign of the escape pods, no footprints, nothing. Just a cold, desolate void and a creeping dread that he wasn't alone. Suddenly, the ground shuddered. A sharp, violent jolt, like Veyra's heart slamming awake. Ethan stumbled, hands braced against the frigid stone, vibrations pulsing through his palms. "What the hell?" he muttered, breath quickening. The tremors grew fiercer, a low growl rising from the depths, something massive stirring below. He staggered to his feet, eyes locked on the darkness ahead. A shrill screech sliced the air, metal scraping stone, chilling and raw. Between two towering, spear-like pillars of rock, a figure emerged. It loomed large, over 8 feet tall, its frame solid and unyielding, skin a shimmering silver gray like liquid metal under the azure light. Red eyes blazed unblinking, piercing through the gloom like twin embers. In its hand, a long staff, a weapon black-handled, tipped with a strange, curved blade that gleamed wickedly, hissing as it cut the air with a subtle swing. Ethan froze, heart pounding. He raised a hand, voice rough with smoke and fear. "I don't want to fight. My ship crashed. I just need to find my crew." The creature didn't answer. It roared, a guttural, throttled sound like a choked engine, echoing through the void. Then it charged, impossibly fast, feet hammering the ground with small explosions of dust. The staff swung down, blade aimed at Ethan's chest, slicing the air with a lethal hiss. He dodged, instincts honed by years of grit kicking in. His hand shot out, lightning quick, seizing the staff just before the blade pierced him. The force threw him back, skin burning, bones creaking. But he held on, teeth clenched, yanking hard. The weapon tore free, clattering to the ground with a sharp clang. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. The creature stood still, red eyes flickering like a fading flame. Then it knelt slowly, rigidly, head bowed, arms spread wide. Ethan panted, clutching the staff, staring in disbelief. A dry, mechanical voice rasped from a small device at its throat. "You took my weapon! By Vra'kesh law, I am yours." He blinked, breath ragged. "What? Mine?" He shook his head, voice rising with confusion and fury. "I don't need a slave. I need my crew." The creature, a female warrior, he realized as her features sharpened, looked up. Red eyes locked onto his, keen but not hostile. "I am Khyra, warrior of the Vra'kesh," she said, voice flat through the translator. "Our law is unbreakable. But if you seek your kind, I will guide you." Ethan trudged across the black stone plain, each step dragging like he wore chains. The ground beneath cracked and split, venting searing plumes of heat that stank of sulfur. Above, Veyra's azure abyss churned, torn by violet plasma streaks that bled across the dark clouds. The air pressed down, thick and choking, threatening to crush his lungs. He gritted his teeth, gripping Khyra's staff, the handle chafing his palms raw. Beside him, Khyra moved, glided with terrifying precision. Her long, sinewy legs navigated the jagged terrain like she was forged from it, tireless and unflinching. They didn't speak at first. Silence reigned, broken only by the wind's howl through the rock crevices and the scrape of Ethan's boots. He kept his distance, eyes flicking to her, hand hovering near the staff. Khyra turned, red eyes flashing in the dim light. "You are weak, sky-fallen one," she said, voice dry and mechanical through the throat device. "Veyra will devour you." Ethan stopped, breath heaving. He smirked, throat still thick with dust. "I've survived places you've never heard of. Don't underestimate me." She halted, facing him fully, towering and regal. "I speak truth," she replied, eyes pinning him. "This air, the plasma storms, the Gorzod beneath, they forgive nothing. You don't belong here." Ethan tilted his head, tightening his grip. "Gorzod?" Khyra knelt, pressing a silver-gray hand to the fissured ground. "Ancient predators," she murmured, voice low, almost a whisper. "Once Veyra's guardians, millennia ago. The plasma storms twisted them into monsters. They lurk in the dark, scenting vibrations, feeding on anything that moves." She looked up, eyes blazing. "If your kin live, the Gorzod may have found them." Her words stabbed like ice into Ethan's chest. His face paled, but he hid it. "Then we move faster," he growled. They pressed on, Ethan's steps heavy, Khyra's light as a shadow. Distrust ebbed slowly, replaced by shared glances and synced breaths. Khyra broke the quiet first. "Veyra spares no one," she said, gazing at the plasma ripping the sky. "The storms never cease. My Vra'kesh survive by fighting nature, and foes from the stars." Ethan glanced at her, voice low. "My crew's the same. Jessa, a brilliant mind, fixes anything. Milo cowardly, but he'd never abandon us. Terra iron will, never breaks." Khyra turned, a strange glint in her red eyes, curiosity or respect. "You cherish them," she said. Ethan nodded curtly. "Their family." The landscape shifted. The stone plain gave way to a deep canyon, its sheer cliffs rising hundreds of meters, jagged like a beast's teeth. Azure light seeped through the gaps, casting faint, shimmering streaks on the ground. Ethan paused, wiping sweat from his brow, the air growing heavier, a noose around his neck. Khyra stood still, eyes scanning. Then the earth trembled, a soft jolt, then harder, like a giant's pulse. Ethan clutched the staff, staring at the ground. "Again?" he whispered. A rumble echoed from the dark depths, low and chilling, like a summons from hell. From a narrow slit between the cliffs it emerged. A Gorzod, its body a monstrous centipede, dozens of meters long, encased in glossy black armor that gleamed like tempered steel under the azure glow. Hundreds of razor-sharp legs stabbed the earth, each step a metallic screech. Massive, curved jaws snapped open and shut, capable of crushing a ship, clacking dryly. Small red eyes burned like fire, locking onto them. Khyra's fists tightened, silver claws glinting. "It smells us," she said, voice taut. Ethan eyed the staff, hard hammering. "We take it together." Khyra nodded, a faint smirk tugging her lips, the first he'd seen. "Lead on, my master." They charged. Ethan rushed forward, thrusting the staff into a gap in its armor, the curved blade sinking deep. Black blood sprayed, reeking and foul. The beast howled, its roar shaking the cliffs. Khyra leaped, swift as lightning, landing on its back. Her dagger slashed long, deep gashes, black ichor gushing like a fountain. The Gorzod lashed its tail fast, brutal, a steel whip. Ethan rolled aside as its jaws snapped where he'd stood, shattering the ground. He staggered up, hands shaking, breath ragged. Khyra shouted, "The eyes!" Ethan bared his teeth, hurling the staff. The blade soared, piercing its left red eye. The monster shrieked, writhing in agony, armor grinding. It retreated, vanishing into a cloud of black dust. Ethan dropped to his knees, hands braced on the ground, gasping. "Is it dead?" Khyra approached, black blood staining her hands, eyes sweeping the dark. "No," she said, voice low. "But it won't return soon." They ventured deeper into the canyon, cold biting through their skin. Ethan knelt, picking up a torn scrap Jess's uniform, frayed and blood-stained. He clenched it, heart twisting. "She's here," he whispered. Khyra crouched beside him, lifting a small metal shard of Vra'kesh tracker, glinting in the azure light. Her red eyes darkened. "My tribe was here," she said, voice tight, almost trembling. "And they didn't come to save anyone." The canyon stretched cold and dark, a colossal moss-swallowing light hole. Towering cliffs flanked them, jagged and steep, casting deep shadows over the ground. Azure light from Veyra's sky trickled through the high crevices, painting faint, ghostly streaks that danced like will-o-wisps. The air bit with damp chill, seeping through Ethan's torn jacket, making him shiver. He knelt, clutching the blood-stained scrap Jess's uniform, its edges frayed, crusted with dark, dried blood. His fingers whitened around it, a storm of hope and dread churning within. "She's alive," he whispered, voice rough, breath fogging in the frigid air. Khyra stood beside him, tall and silent. Her red eyes swept the shadows, sharp as blades. She bent down, silver-gray hand brushing the fabric, then met Ethan's gaze. "The blood's dry," she said, voice even through the translator. "Maybe from yesterday. But something's wrong." She rose, stepping toward a long gash in the earth, deep, precise, unnatural. She pointed, claws glinting in the azure glow. "Not Gorzod's mark. Vra'kesh." Ethan's head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" Khyra turned, red eyes dimming. "Someone from my tribe was here." Ethan shot to his feet, gripping the staff, pulse racing. "You saying they took my crew?" His voice sharpened with anger and doubt. Khyra shook her head slowly, eyes never leaving his. "Uncertain. But they didn't come without purpose." Before he could reply, a sound cut through, soft, brittle, like metal striking stone. He stiffened, tightening his hold. Khyra raised a hand, signaling. They darted forward, ducking behind a massive boulder, its icy surface biting his palms. From the darkness ahead, a scene unfolded. 5 Vra'kesh warriors, silver-gray skin shimmering, red eyes blazing, encircled a strange machine. It wasn't entirely alien, a warped chunk of the beacon, fused with sharp Vra'kesh metal plates, pulsing with a faint blue glow like a heartbeat. At its center, Milo sat bound, wrists and ankles wrapped in metal cords, his face bruised and streaked with dried blood. He looked up, eyes clouded but alive. Ethan's breath hitched, hands trembling with rage. He started forward, but Khyra's claws dug lightly into his shoulder. "Wait!" she hissed, voice taut. That's Varkis' squad. Ethan turned, eyes flaring. Who's Varkis? Khyra's head dipped, red eyes flickering. A traitor to my tribe, she said, voice dropping low. Exiled long ago for lusting after power, for killing our own. He wants your tech to use against us. Ethan's jaw clenched, voice grating. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Khyra lifted her gaze, red eyes piercing. I didn't know. I thought the plasma storms took him. Ethan exhaled hard, turning back to Milo, fury burning in his chest. They watched from the shadows. A hulking figure stepped from the Vra'kesh ranks. Varkis. Taller than Khyra, muscles rippling under silver-gray skin, his red eyes glowed like furnaces, brighter than any other. He held a longer staff, its twin curved blades glinting blue and lethal. He loomed over Milo, voice a deep growl through the translator. Fix this machine, Skyfallen One. Or die. Milo lifted his head, voice shaky but firm. I'll fix it, but release Jessa first. Ethan froze, breath catching. Khyra whispered close to his ear. Your kin lacks loyalty. Ethan shook his head, voice low and certain. No. He's buying time. They plan fast, silent. Ethan murmured. I'll distract them. You hit from behind. Khyra nodded, dagger flashing in her grip. Ethan grabbed a heavy, cold stone. He stepped out, hurling it with a shout. Hey, you piece of trash! The rock struck Vra'kesh's shoulder, sending him sprawling. Varkis whirled, eyes blazing, snarling. Khyra sprang from the dark, swift as a phantom. Her dagger plunged into one's neck, dark red blood spraying. A second turned, but she kicked hard, his skull cracking against stone. Ethan sprinted to Milo, pulling the small dagger from his belt, the last relic of the ship. He sliced the cords, fast and fierce, metal shrieking as it parted. Where's Jessa? He demanded, voice urgent. Milo gasped, clutching his chest. They took her, to force me. Chaos erupted. Varkis charged Khyra, staff swinging, blades hissing through the air. She dodged, but too slow, the edge grazed her shoulder, red blood spilling over gray skin. He laughed, a booming roar. I'll burn Veyra to ash, Khyra. And you'll die first. Ethan lunged, driving the staff into Varkis' leg. The brute roared, spinning, fist slamming into Ethan. He hit the ground hard, rolling, breath stolen. Milo grabbed a jagged metal shard, smashing it into Vra'kesh's head, blood splattering. But they were outnumbered, 3 more closed in, staffs raised. Then the earth quaked, fierce and deep. A guttural roar echoed from below. A Gorzod burst forth, smaller than before, but faster, its black armor gleaming. It tore into Varkis' squad, jaws crushing one, black blood gushing. Varkis bellowed. Retreat! He fled, abandoning the machine, his team dissolving in chaos. Ethan dragged Milo away, Khyra following, blood dripping from her shoulder. They hid behind a cliff, panting, watching the Gorzod rampage through the carnage. Milo gripped Ethan's hand, voice quaking. I heard Varkis mention a controller, someone in your tribe, Khyra, aiding him. Khyra froze, red eyes wide, hands trembling. Impossible, she whispered, voice breaking, like a blade had pierced her. Ethan rested a hand on her shoulder, voice low but steady. We'll figure it out. Together. Suddenly, a low growl rumbled from the distance, growing nearer, as if the ground itself were splintering beneath them. Ethan ran, boots pounding the black soil, breath ragged and hoarse. Milo stumbled behind, dried blood glinting on his face under the azure light filtering through the canyon's slits. Khyra led, swift and sure, her long silver-gray legs gliding over broken stone like a wraith. They'd just escaped Varkis and the Gorzod, but its deep, ominous roar still echoed in Ethan's skull, a warning from Veyra's depths. The canyon faded behind them as they reached a shallow cave, its low ceiling and rough walls cold under Ethan's hands as he braced himself to catch his breath. Milo collapsed, clutching his chest, breath stuttering. After the crash, he said, voice weak and trembling. Jessa and I made it. The pod shattered, but we crawled out. He looked up, eyes dull. Then Varkis came. Took us. He wants the beacon's core for a weapon. A destroyer. Ethan knelt, gripping Milo's shoulders tight. Where's Jessa? Milo's head dropped, voice cracking. They took her. To make me fix it. Ethan's jaw tightened, eyes blazing. We'll get her back, he growled, words like forged steel. Khyra stood still, red eyes fixed on the sky through a crack in the rock. A massive plasma storm loomed, black clouds swirling, violet bolts slashing through, blazing like hell's inferno. If Varkis activates that machine, she said, voice low, Veyra burns. Nothing survives. Ethan rose, clutching the staff, fury igniting within. Then we beat him to it. Khyra turned, red eyes flashing, but she said nothing. The cave trembled softly at first, then harder, like a beast's heartbeat. Ethan stiffened, gripping the staff tighter. Again? He muttered. Before anyone could answer, the ground split a deep, lightning-fast fissure. The earth caved, swallowing them. Ethan shouted, arms flailing as he fell. Milo yelled, Khyra silent, but all three plunged down, into darkness, into an underground network of tunnels. They hit the ground hard, stones scattering, pain jolting through them. Ethan rolled to his feet, hands shaking. The air was damp, frigid, sinking into his bones. A strange hiss echoed low, dry, like something alive breathing nearby. Khyra stood, red eyes scanning. Gorzod nest, she whispered, voice tight as a bowstring. Ethan flicked on the flashlight, its weak beam flickered, illuminating damp, mottled stone walls slick with green mold. Then he saw them, dozens of Vra'kesh corpses strewn across the floor, torn apart. Silver-gray skin shredded, limbs twisted, red blood pooled and crusted. One still clutched a broken dagger. Ethan stepped closer, legs heavy, breath catching. Khyra knelt, touching a warrior's remains, claws trembling. My patrol squad, she said, voice shattering, eyes misting. Not Varkis' doing. Ethan turned, resting a hand on her shoulder, gentle but firm. I've lost people, he said, voice low, because I couldn't save them in time. I know this pain. Khyra looked up, red eyes meeting his, bright yet blurred with tears. I thought my mother died to Gorzod, she whispered, voice quaking. Years ago, in battle. Now I doubt it. Ethan squeezed her shoulder, saying nothing, but his gaze was iron, a silent oath. Milo stood back, hands shaking, eyes darting, breath rapid. A growl rumbled deep, resonant, from the darkness ahead. The ground quivered, dust falling from the ceiling. Ethan raised the flashlight, staff in his other hand. Run! He barked. They bolted, feet slamming wet stone, the Gorzod's hiss closing in, faster. It burst forth smaller than the last, but wickedly swift, 5 meters of gleaming black armor, sharp legs screeching against the ground. Tiny red eyes glowed like embers, fixed on them. It lunged, jaws gaping, black drool dripping, rancid and thick. Milo lagged, slipping, crashing down with a yell. Ethan spun back without hesitation. He charged, jamming the staff into its foreleg, the curved blade bit deep, black blood spraying, sizzling on contact. The beast roared, pivoting, jaws snapping at him. Ethan rolled, the ground splintering under its bite. Khyra darted in, hurling a glowing stone small, blinding from her pouch, straight at its face. It shattered, light flaring, blinding the Gorzod. It shrieked, staggering, legs thrashing. Ethan yanked Milo up, shouting, Keep running! They raced through the tunnel, breaths ragged, hearts pounding. The passage opened into a vast chamber wide, high, its stone walls streaked with faint blue light from natural pillars, glinting like trapped souls. In the center, atop a glossy black dais, Jessa sat bound. Blood oozed from her wrists where metal cords cut deep, but her eyes burned defiant, unyielding. Ethan stopped, breath hitching, hands trembling. Jessa, he whispered. Around her stood Vra'kesh warriors, not Varkis' crew, silver-gray skin shimmering, red eyes aglow. A female warrior stepped forward, taller than Khyra, regal in gleaming black armor. Her staff bore a wide, razor-sharp blade, glinting blue. She halted, red eyes locking onto them, voice icy through the translator. Khyra, you bring outsiders to my sanctuary. Khyra froze, her dagger slipping from her grasp, clanging on the stone. Her red eyes widened, trembling, breath choking. "Mother?" she whispered, voice breaking, like a knife had plunged into her heart. The cavern sprawled vast and dark, like the belly of a monstrous beast. Natural stone pillars jutted from the floor, towering upward, glowing with a faint blue light, ethereal, cold, like spirits trapped in rock. The illumination splashed across the walls, mottled and trembling, casting a sheen on the glossy black dais at the center. Jessa sat bound atop it, metal cords biting into her wrists, blood trickling red and stark against the stone. Her hands shook, but her eyes blazed bright, unyielding, a fire that refused to die. Ethan stood meters away, heart hammering, breath caught in his throat. He surged forward, boots slamming the ground, staff gripped tight, but a figure blocked his path. Syrha, Khyra's mother, emerged from the shadows. Tall and commanding, her silver-gray skin gleamed like forged steel, her red eyes burning brighter than any Vra'kesh Ethan had seen. Black armor hugged her form, the wide blade on her staff flashing a cold blue edge. She raised a hand, voice slicing through the air via the translator. "Stop, Skyfallen One!" Ethan halted, boots skidding, eyes flaring with fury. Khyra rushed from his side, dagger trembling in her grip, voice shattering. "Mother, why are you working with Varkis?" Syrha tilted her head, red eyes locking onto her daughter. She laughed, cold, brittle, like wind howling over dead stone. "Varkis is a puppet," she said, voice dropping sharp and low. "I'm the controller. The tribe is weak, Khyra. They cower before Gorzod, before the plasma storms. I watched your father die. Gorzod's jaws crushed him, his blood soaked the ground before my eyes." Her grip tightened on the staff, claws digging into the handle. "I swore to destroy them, even if it meant breaking every Vra'kesh law." Ethan shouted, voice raw. "You're insane! That machine will kill everything, not just Gorzod." Syrha turned, red eyes blazing like furnaces in the gloom. "You don't understand," she snarled, stepping closer to Jessa. She drew a short, gleaming dagger razor sharp and pressed it to Jessa's throat, a thin trickle of fresh blood beating up. "Give me the activation code, or she dies." Jessa gritted her teeth, eyes fierce, shouting, "Don't, Ethan! Don't give it to her!" Her voice quaked but held firm, unbroken. Ethan froze, hands trembling, the staff quivering in his grasp. Khyra lunged, swift as lightning, dagger aimed at Syrha. "You've betrayed Vra'kesh law!" she cried, voice breaking, eyes misting red. Syrha spun, impossibly fast, slamming the staff's haft into Khyra's chest. Khyra crashed backward, rolling across the stone, blood seeping from her mouth, dagger clattering away. "Laws are chains," Syrha said, voice icy and flat. "I've transcended them." Ethan barked at Milo, standing a few paces back, clutching a jagged metal shard from the debris. "Back me up!" They charged. Ethan rushed forward, thrusting the staff into a Vra'kesh near Jessa. The curved blade sank deep into its chest, dark red blood spraying, reeking. The warrior roared, collapsing, flailing. Milo darted at another, driving his shard into a shoulder, blood streaming down. But Syrha's squad outnumbered them, 5 tall figures, staffs swinging, hissing through the air. Ethan dodged a blow, the blade grazing past his head, slicing a few strands of hair. Milo took a fist to the gut, tumbling with a gasp. Syrha stepped to a small device on the dais, Vra'kesh metal, tangled with wires, pulsing blue. She pressed a button, laughing coldly. "I've tamed them for vengeance." The ground quaked hard, violent, like Veyra's heart thrashing. From cracks in the walls, dozens of smaller Gorzod erupted 3 meters long, black armor gleaming, sharp legs stabbing the stone, red eyes glowing. They charged, jaws gaping, black drool dripping. Ethan yelled, "Milo, break it!" Milo staggered up, shard in hand, smashing it into the device. A small explosion sparked, shattering it. The Gorzod panicked, turning, tearing into Syrha's team, red and black blood mingling, the stench filling the air. Khyra rose, blood dripping from her chin, eyes red with tears but blazing. She charged Syrha, snatching her fallen dagger, aiming for her mother's shoulder. You've lost yourself, she whispered, voice trembling, striking hard. The blade plunged deep, dark red blood gushing. Syrha roared, shoving Khyra back, clutching her wound, blood oozing through her fingers. She stared at her daughter, red eyes flickering, then turned, fleeing into the cavern's depths, vanishing. Ethan raced to Jessa, his small dagger cutting her bonds swift, fierce, metal shrieking as it parted. He pulled her down, holding her tight, her warm blood soaking into his shirt. Jessa looked up, tears streaking her dust-caked face, but she smiled faintly. I knew you'd come, she whispered, voice quaking, hands clutching his jacket. Ethan steadied her, trembling, eyes scanning. Gorzod roared, Syrha's squad dissolved in chaos. He turned to Khyra, kneeling on the stone, breathing hard, blood pooling beneath her. We're not done, he said, voice low and resolute, reaching to help her up. Khyra took his hand, rising, red eyes blazing yet dimmed by pain and loss. Ethan burst onto the surface, boots slipping on wet black stone, breath ragged and hoarse. Khyra ran beside him, dried blood glinting on her shoulder under the azure glow. Milo and Jessa trailed, Jessa leaning on Milo, her hands bloodied but eyes fierce with resolve. They'd escaped the cavern, emerging onto a vast black stone plain, but the air was alive with menace. Veyra's sky screamed, a colossal plasma storm descending, black clouds roiling, violet lightning crashing into the earth, blasting stone to dust. Wind howled, scorching, thick with the smell of burning metal. Ethan stopped, gripping the staff, eyes sweeping the chaos. Jessa knelt, hands shaking, voice weak but steady. Syrha forced me to fix the core. It's at Varkis' fortress west. Ethan turned, grasping her shoulders, eyes burning. You okay? Jessa nodded, a faint smile breaking through. Enough to keep going. Khyra pointed, silver claws flashing. Tracks their blood and smoke. They followed, boots pounding cracked ground, crossing the fractured plain to a crumbling fortress of black stone. Its high walls, jagged and broken, smoked from fissures, blue light flickering within. Varkis stood amid the ruins, massive and imposing. His silver-gray skin shimmered, red eyes glowing like molten fire in the dark. His twin-bladed staff gleamed lethal, hissing with each subtle swing. Before him loomed the machine, the beacon's core, fused with Vra'kesh metal, pulsing blue, trembling like it might erupt. He laughed, a booming growl through the translator. Come to die? Syrha emerged behind him, tall in glossy black armor, holding a small device, her red eyes cold and piercing. Ethan crouched, whispering close to Khyra. You showed me true strength is never giving up. Khyra looked up, red eyes sparking with hope, bright amid her scarred face. She nodded, gripping her dagger. Together, she replied, voice low. They split, Ethan and Khyra charging Varkis, Milo and Jessa circling to the machine. Ethan sprinted, swinging the staff, its curved blade aiming for Varkis' chest. Varkis parried, swift as a viper, metal clanging. A brutal punch, fast, heavy, slammed Ethan's chest. He hit the ground, rolling, breath stolen, pain searing. Khyra lunged, dagger piercing Varkis' leg, blade sinking deep, red blood spilling. He roared, spinning, staff arcing. Khyra dodged, but the edge grazed her side, blood flowing dark. Milo and Jessa reached the machine, Jessa dropping to her knees, hands trembling but deft as she yanked wires. Milo stood guard, shard raised, eyes locked on three, Vra'kesh closing in, staffs high. A shout rang from the fortress's shadows. Captain? Terra burst out, face scratched, eyes blazing through dust and blood. Behind her, 5 loyal Vra'kesh, silver-gray, red-eyed, staffs in hand. Ethan turned, stunned, breath hitching. Terra? She nodded, rushing forward, holding a small device, ship metal, wires tangled, blinking. I survived the crash, she said, voice urgent. Caught by Varkis, but I turned this squad. They're loyal to Khyra's father. I built an energy reverser from ship scraps. She threw it to Jessa, hard and true. Reverse it! Jessa caught it, hands shaking, wiring it to the core. Milo swung at a Vra'kesh, blood spraying, but a kick sent him sprawling. Syrha advanced on the machine, pressing her device, laughing coldly. You've failed, Khyra. The machine shrieked high, piercing, blue light flaring, energy surging like a tide. Terra yelled. Jessa, now! Jessa slammed it down, hands bloody. A sharp blast erupted, small but fierce energy reversing, collapsing inward, engulfing Varkis. He screamed, body disintegrating in the explosion, blood and smoke rising, acrid and thick. Syrha charged Khyra, dagger aimed at her daughter's heart. You betrayed me! She roared, red eyes wild with rage. Khyra blocked with her own blade, metal clashing, but she faltered, blood seeping from her side, arms weakening. Syrha shoved hard, Khyra fell, her mother's dagger plunging into her chest, blood pooling red and dark. Ethan surged forward, shouting, shoving Syrha back. She stumbled, red eyes flickering. A violet bolt crashed from the sky, swift, blinding, incinerating Syrha. She collapsed, silver skin charred black, whispering through her final breath. I only wanted to protect you. Ethan knelt by Khyra, cradling her head, her warm blood soaking his hands. She breathed faintly, red eyes dimming, but flaring one last time. Take me to my tribe, she whispered, voice trembling. Tell the truth. Ethan gripped her hand tight, tears streaking his dust-streaked face. I promise, Khyra, he said, voice breaking. You were the flame that guided me. Khyra smiled faintly, lips quivering, eyes fading, hand going limp. Terra stepped forward, resting a hand on Ethan's shoulder, voice low. We have to go. He nodded, eyes fixed on Khyra, heart heavy as stone. They knelt, hands trembling, piling rocks around her, a rough grave amid the black soil. The wind howled, the storm easing, leaving a cold silence over the shattered fortress. The storm had passed, leaving the black stone fortress in ruins. Crumbled walls smoked amid the ashes, Veyra's azure light filtering down, pale and cold. The glossy soil bore stains red from Vra'kesh, black from Gorzod, the air thick with their stench. Ethan knelt, hands sinking into the frigid earth. Before him, a small grave stacked stones, crude and jagged, Khyra's staff at its heart, its curved blade stabbed into the ground, glinting blue. Milo stood beside him, clutching his chest, eyes clouded. Jessa knelt nearby, hands bloodied, head bowed. Terra stood tall, face scarred, eyes fierce, holding a shard of ship metal. Ethan touched the staff, fingers trembling against its cold handle. She didn't abandon us, he whispered, voice hoarse, breath fogging in the chill. And I won't abandon anyone. He rose, staring at the grave, heart like lead. Terra stepped closer, voice low. I picked up a signal, loyal Vra'kesh to the east, waiting for the staff. They want Khyra's truth. Ethan nodded, lifting the staff, gripping it tight. Then we go. They trekked across the black stone plain, boots crunching cracked earth, cold wind whistling past. The sky remained azure, softer now, free of lightning and churning clouds. Milo lagged, steps unsteady, but pressed on. Jessa held his arm, steadying him, eyes alight with resolve. Terra led, her small device ship metal, wires blinking like a beacon guiding them. They moved east, silent save for the scrape of boots and labored breaths. The ground trembled softly, then fiercely, like a monster's pulse. Ethan stopped, staff tight in hand, eyes scanning. Again? He growled. A deep roar echoed from below, chilling and raw. The earth split, dust erupting, and it rose, a massive Gorzod, the alpha of its kind. Twice the size of the others, over 20 meters long, its thick black armor gleamed like tempered steel. Hundreds of razor legs stabbed the ground, screeching like blades on glass. Huge, curved jaws parted, black drool hissing as it hit the earth. Large red eyes burned like furnaces, locking onto them. Ethan shouted, Terra, rig something! Terra darted to a nearby ship, fragment twisted, scorched metal from the beacon. She knelt, hands swift, stripping wires from her device, attaching them to the scrap, eyes blazing with focus. Energy bomb, she said, voice tight. Throw it in its jaws! The Gorzod charged, terrifyingly fast, legs hammering the ground, shaking the earth. Milo yelled, stumbling. Jessa yanked him back, hands trembling. Ethan grabbed the bomb, small, heavy, blinking, and gripped it hard. He ran forward, boots pounding, straight at the Gorzod. It opened its jaws, roaring, its fetid breath blasting his face. Ethan hurled the bomb, hard and true. It sailed into the maw, flaring bright. A thunderous blast erupted, sharp, deafening, shaking the ground. Fire tore through, ripping the Gorzod apart from within, armor shattering, black blood spraying like a geyser, steaming. It screamed, thrashing, then collapsed, its massive body crushing stone, dust billowing. Ethan panted, hands braced on the ground, staring at the wreckage. Done? Jessa nodded, voice quaking. Done. They pressed on, legs leaden, reaching a small valley eastwards. 10 loyal Vra'kesh waited, silver gray, red eyes aglow, staffs in hand. A female warrior stepped forward, tall, voice low through the translator. Where's Khyra? Ethan approached, raising the staff, Khyra's dried blood still staining the handle. She sacrificed herself, he said, voice firm. To save us, to save Veyra. Khyra's your hero. He handed it over, hands steadying. The warrior took it, bowing, red eyes flickering. Her truth will live, she replied. Tara led them to an escape pod, a battered chunk of the beacon, half buried in the plain. She knelt, hands deftly rewiring, eyes fierce. I can fix it, she said, voice steady. Rescue signals ready. Jessa pressed a button, blue light pulsing, the signal arcing skyward. They stood, waiting, wind biting. A low hum grew distant, then near. A small, bright ship descended, hatch sliding open. Ethan turned, gazing at Veyra one last time, the black soil, the ruined fortress, Khyra's staff etched in his mind. He boarded, gripping the hatch, eyes lingering on the distant grave. The staff, the flame of strength, friendship, and an oath unbroken across the stars, burned in his soul. Tara rested a hand on his shoulder, voice soft. She'd be proud. Ethan nodded, silent, tears falling quietly, mingling with Veyra's dust beneath his feet.